Yes, hello and welcome to another edition of Premier League Overtime. The biggest one yet is the grand final edition of the show. It's very nice to have your company here once again. Sam Tugwell here as per usual. Doug McDonald-Taylor also here as well. Welcome back.
Thank you, Sammy. Grand final show. Very excited. Prelim finals to review, obviously. We've got some huge guests on, Sammy, and the big dances to talk about.
That's it. Two of the special guests already here. We've got another two coming on later on, so stick around after that. But straight up, we'll introduce our special guests for the first half of the show. From the Sturt Sabres, playing some magnificent basketball throughout the year, is the great man Tim Klaosen. Very nice to have you here, mate.
Yeah, that's generous, but thank you.
He's flying and raring to go for the grand final this week. We'll check that out in a moment. And also from the West Adelaide Bearcats, I think she's part of the coaching role as of
I am now,
throughout
that's
the
right.
year.
Yeah.
Yes, so she played early, couple of games to start the year, and now she's in amongst that coaching group who will be leading the way into the grand final. Alice G from the Bearcats, so welcome to you.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you both here. Big couple of games on the weekend that you were both involved in at two separate venues. We'll kickstart with the women's preliminary final. You were there, Alice, and a really tight game in the end. A home crowd there at Port Adelaide to get you across the line. A 73-66 scoreline against the Southern Tigers. They were second place throughout the year. Had played some great basketball in the lead up. You beat them, I think it was, a few weeks back, and you beat them again to make the grand final. Probably a good feeling.
Oh, it's outstanding. There's a really good vibe going on amongst the group at the moment. It's always great coming in as an underdog, but I certainly think that we deserve to be where we are right now. So it's really, really exciting.
You held a tight lead throughout this preliminary final. Didn't really give Southern too much of a sniff to take it away from you, but I think the last quarter you closed it out really strong.
Yeah, look, our last couple of minutes weren't great, but at the end of the day, we got away with the win, so that's all that matters. I just think our defensive intensity and our ability to get stops and push the ball up the floor is what's got us playing some really good basketball at the moment. So, yeah, it's really exciting.
Doug, you had a close eye on this game. Who performed?
Big performers, and it's really tough to beat a team, then go away and then have to beat them again 2 weeks. I mean, this finals, the way it's structured, it's quite tough. And so to be able to do that, very good effort by the Westies girls. Ashley Vordermeyer has continued her fantastic form, 16 points, 8 boards. And Tioni Campbell has this for a stat line, 12 points, 10 boards, 5 assists and 7 steals. And the Westies as a whole had 18 steals, which was key for them winning. Created a lot of turnovers, got a little bit of run out of that as well. So huge game by Campbell. Talia Fijo back in the lineup. She chipped in with 11 points. But huge once again. They got a great bench, 25 points off the bench. Sky Langenbrink, 15. Wiedemann and Lappin both providing cameos. Great team performance. Like you said, they just held that lead, sat a little bit all the way through, and where it's able to hold on down the stretch against a extremely good Southern side. Southern, Molly McKendrick came to play, 22-10, second in the Halls medal. She showed why. She's such a good player and fantastic season for Molly. Taraya Cunningham, 15-9. Danielle Fawcett, 16-6. She's had a great final series, and she's had a really good back end half of the year as well. So, but only 1 point off the bench. Thacker was back to college, so she wasn't available, and she was obviously their best weapon off the bench. So only 1 point off the bench up against Westie's 25 is a huge stat. Also with the steals and the turnovers. Really cost the Southern girls. You know, they coughed it up too much under Westie's pressure. And, Westie's get a fantastic win.
Yeah, and like you said, bench for the Tigers, they usually run a few deep into that bench, but I think there was only one player on the bench that got about 5 minutes, and another one, there was only 2 players that did, and another one only got about a minute. So it was essentially that starting 5 that got them across as far as they did into that game. But I guess straight up, Alice, I'll ask you about what the focus was heading into that game, because of course you'd played them numerous times before. They'd probably worked a few things about you guys. What did you have to do in order to beat them?
Look, we didn't really change our game plan too much, to be honest. In the weeks leading up to our games, we tend not to focus on our opposition too much, and I think that's worked really, really well for us. We know what we need to do, and for us it was just to be relentless and run the floor. And, you know, the really good thing about West is that we do play, 10 deep. And I think that has helped us very much so in the final series and hopefully again on Saturday night.
how like we've spoken about your story on the show for quite a long time this season now. It's like a fairy tale come true for those girls, and the way they've made their way from, like Doug was saying earlier in the year, like bottom 5, not really competitive enough to make finals, let alone make a grand final. And then the back half of the year, you've exploded, and the belief levels are huge. Talia was telling us last week. How much do the girls deserve this opportunity?
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt that we deserve to be where we are. Everyone keeps talking about the fact that it's a great story, but we worked really, really hard. We didn't have a good start to the season. I think we're just a really connected group, and we're committed to playing for each other. And when you come into the game with that kind of attitude, I think good things happen. So we're playing some really good basketball, and it's really exciting to be a part of.
Doug, last time these girls played Norwood, it was a very low-scoring game. They only scored 43 points. Defensive pressure, I guess, is probably one of the things. Offensive ball game is probably another thing, but you wonder whereabouts the problem lied in that regard.
We might throw that over to your good self, because
Sure.
you know a bit more about us. But you only scored 43, which is well below your season average.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just an off night.
Yeah, look, there's no doubt that we struggled from the field. I think our shooting percentage was probably one of the lowest, if not the lowest.
It was 23%.
Yeah, it wasn't great. But look, even going into this week, we're not going to change our game plan again. We just need to make sure that we execute. And credit to Norwood, they played really, really good defence. We just need to make sure that we, as I said, we execute as much as we can, and we look to run like we always do. But we're not really thinking about the past. We're just excited to be there and ready to take the opportunity.
Talia Fijo up against Jess Marnie. That's going to be a
great
cracker.
matchup, isn't it?
Yeah.
This kid, she's been outstanding, and she's just a kid. I think sometimes we forget she's only 18 years old, but she's got an incredible amount of talent, and she's just a lovely kid as well. So we're so excited for her to be a part of our team, but also for her future. I think we're going to see a lot of her in the future, definitely.
Jess Good and Jess Foley, two very good players. You've got the defensive player of the year, Ashley Vordermay, at your disposal. Will she get the job on one of those two, or?
Look, to be honest, we talked about last night at training. We're not really looking too much into our matchups. We're quite happy to share it around a little bit, which is one of our strengths. I think we all have the ability to play a lot of different roles. We've got some great defenders amongst our group, and I think just as a team, we're prepared to shut down players with the 5 girls on the court at that time.
The last time the Bearcats were in a grand final, Doug, was 2010, so a little while ago. The last time they won one was the time before that, 2007, and it was against Norwood as well. So maybe some history making once again. So I like a few stats like that.
I like that stat, Sammy. You've pulled that one out. So very interesting.
We'll see how they go against the Flames for the second grand final running between those two, if they can get another win there. Let's cross on over to the men's preliminary final now, and this game was an absolute belter. Austral Sports was there. We covered this. And the Norwood Flames went down on home court. They were second place throughout the year, probably expecting to win like they did in the qualifying final. But Sturt did a very fine job and ran around them, made the mickey out of them on home court and finished them off very, very nicely. Through to the grand final now. How do you feel?
I feel very good. Saturday was, we went in thinking, we should win. They beat us 2 weeks prior and we weren't real happy with how we played. So, DJ came in and got the job done after being down 8 or something at half time. So we're very happy.
Isaac White, we've talked about him a lot. We've had him on the show. We've discussed a lot.
He won't mind that.
In time, he probably loves it. He was easily one of the standout differences. And this final series especially, he's just stepped up like no player we've seen in this competition yet. 28 points again in the prelim. The team shot about 60-odd%. How good is it to have a player like him, as young as he is, to have such an influence on the game?
It's good. He started the year against Forrestal with a game winner, so he didn't take long to get into his groove. But he's gotten better and better on the defensive end as well, and offensively he's just a natural scorer. So we just get the ball in his hands late in the shot clock, and he knows what to do with it. So very good to have an 18-year-old like that.
He also speaks very modestly as well, but he also talks about team game a lot, loves to talk about the controllables for the team themselves. And you guys as a group, you must be having a fair bit of belief within your team and your teammates to trust that, okay, we can give it to the star that is Dan Johnson or Jon Warbout, or we could give it to the young kid in Isaac White and allow him to take just a high pressure shot as these other experienced players.
Yeah, we don't really, we have our, our 3 keys that we want to hit, and one of them is 15 assists a game, so we don't really look at, who's shooting. So yeah, we're good to give it into DJ, let him go to work. If not, we've got shooters surrounding him. So yeah, that's the plan for Saturday night.
Dougie, great matchups coming up in this one as well, hey?
Great matchups. We'll just quickly touch on the prelim final because there, as there's not too many better feelings in men's basketball than being Norwood at Mars. I'll guarantee you that. It's pretty tough to do. So when you get to do it, it's pretty nice. But like I said, Isaac White, he was 9 from 12 from the field, Sam. So great execution there from Sturt. Josiah Lee had a pretty good game, 12 points, 8 boards, and 6 assists. And our mate TK, he chimed in with 16. And Jacob Rigoni, he's having a great year, 15 off the bench. He had 22 bench points all up, which far outweighed Norwood's bench points. But you got 29 from 35 free throws. That was key. I mean, Johnson had 21 points, but he only had 4 field goals. So he was getting to the line, and especially down the stretch. And like you said, Sam, 63% from the field. So great team effort from Sturt. Way to come out and beat Norwood at home in the prelim final. Matty Lycett stepped up for Norwood after probably a quiet week the week before. He had 30 points, 11 from 19, which is pretty good. Daniel Webber, 22 points and 5 assists as well. But the key was Andrew Webber, keeping him quiet, 5 points, 2 of 11 from the field. Who got the? Was that Isaac on most of the night?
No, Isaac had Daniel Webber, so we probably needed to front him a little bit more. I think Joe had Andrew from memory.
Yep. Which is exactly what he said wasn't going to happen in the show last week.
Joe said that, did he?
Yeah. He said Isaac would get the job.
I think he gets the Webbers confused, so I don't think he knew. Yeah.
But a great team win from Sturt. And yes, let's have a look at some matchups, Sammy.
Just quickly before we go into it later.
Right, before we go into it later, again. First of all, Mitch Creek, who gets the job on him? Yourself?
Yeah, I'll probably start on him, I imagine. Yep, which will be enjoyable, I'm sure. But, it'll be a team effort. We'll do what we need to do.
The other big guy from the dynamic duo, Alex Starling, who's going to get the job on him?
I'd say DJ, but I'm not sure. Rags will let us know on Thursday, I'm sure. But yeah.
And it's going to be a cracker game. But just let's talk a little bit about history, Sam. I just want to touch on this is your 5th grand final in 8 years, which is amazing because you think about the great run Forest will have. Everyone remembers Norwood's good championships, but to be in 5 grand finals in 8 years is a huge effort from Sturt boys. What's it like being part of such a good group?
Yeah, it's good. Like we get into a grand final and then we lose half our team each year because they all go off to college. So it's been a revolving door of young guys having to step up, which is the same as this year. We're 16 deep. Our 16th guy would make any team in the league, is what we believe. So it's been a fun time. But yeah, we haven't been that successful in the grand final. So yeah, we'll hope to change that this Saturday.
Speaking of that, we'll talk about one that really sticks out in my mind and probably your mind, 2012.
Against Forrestal, was that?
It was, I don't know, I checked my notes. Yeah, no, it was against Forrestal. Look, you're probably reasonably, it's fair to say you're underdogs going into that game.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden you found yourself 16 up with 9 minutes to go. I was sitting in the crowd and I thought it was done. And you let it slip. Is that generally when groups get together and talk about the past, and you talk not only about the championships you win, but you talk about the grand finals you lose and where you go wrong. Does that still burn? Do the players still talk about that?
Yeah, definitely. We were talking about the loss to Norwood last year. Coming up into the prelim, which definitely helped us get over the line. But I think there was only 5 or 6 guys from that 2012 team that were in this team, so we haven't really discussed it much to your dismay, I'm sure. But yeah, that one definitely burns for me. Yeah.
But what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and plenty of teams come back after grand final losses and end up getting it done. You lost last year. You'll be underdogs again this year, but that burning desire must be increased from those losses, Sammy. So watch out for this Sturt team. They're going to be ready to go.
Yeah, I'll ask Tim while he's here. It is your second grand final in a row, of course. It's a little bit different to just making one every couple of years. 2 in a row. You lost last year in the same group, or relatively the same amount of guys from last year into this one. And like you said, losing to Norwood last week would have built that sort of belief to want to win again and the will to want to win. Is it a different kind of belief this year and confidence that you feel like you can go even harder and you're more confident this year you can win it?
Yeah, we're very confident. We over the last few years we've been, our clutch game hasn't been good, but this year, down 8 on the weekend, we've come back and won it. We've done that a few times this year. Last time we played Southern, we were down 4 with 3 minutes to go, so we're right there, and we think if we keep it close, we'll make it interesting for you.
Well, that was it. You were yet to beat the Tigers this year. That's the only thing, but a lot of teams haven't. So you're going to have to do something that's relatively out of the bag, but they have got a very dominant offensive game. How do you stop it?
I think we'll just, we'll try and take away their transition game, make them play in the half court, and we'll see what they can do. But yeah, we know we're not going to stop them. We're not going to be able to stop them completely. But if we can limit them to, not their best games, and we get our 10 guys doing what we do, then I think we'll be all right.
It's going to be a cracking grand final, that's for sure, Dougie. I know we'll get stuck into the grand final preview soon, but I feel like these two have got some great stories and some great confidence behind them right now.
Yeah, definitely 2 great stories. The top 2 teams respectively from the men's and women's. Norwood with the women and Southern with the men, they needed a challenger, and these 2 teams, Westies women and Sturt men, certainly have provided that. They're in good form, and they have what I think is a little bit of advantage. They played right through the finals, no weeks off, so that momentum keeps going, and that will hold them in good stead. And I think they should be very well prepared, and I expect them to both start really well in these grand finals, and I think they're going to be really close.
It certainly will be. We'll talk more about that after the break in the grand finals, but of course at this switch of the show we're going to have to sub out these 2 and sub in a couple of new ones from the Tigers and Flames, so we'll see you on the other side of the break in a moment. But before we go, thank you very much, Alice, for coming along.
No worries, thanks very much.
Catch you soon. And Tim, great to have you, buddy.
Well done,
Cheers.
buddy.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks, Dougie.
Good luck, guys.
And best of luck on Saturday. And we'll be back after the break with 2 brand new guests. Welcome back here on the show. Premier League Overtime, of course, is where you are. And we've got ourselves some new guests, just switching in and out. And of course, from the weekend, these are fresh off the bench because they didn't get to play last week, and they're raring to go for grand finals. Of course, from the Norwood Flames alongside me here is Jess Good, who has played in a grand final or 2 in the last few years and is raring to go for another one. Good to see you.
Yep, thanks for having me.
It's great to have you here. And of course, at the other end of the desk, who's been doing some incredible and really exciting stuff for the Southern Tigers this year. His first season with them is Alex Starling. Welcome to you as well, buddy.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's fantastic to have you both here as well on the eve of grand final week, I guess. But before we get to the grand finals, Doug, because there's already been a weekend gone where these 2 have been involved in it quite heavily, the Halls Woolacott Awards for 2016, and we spoke about this last week. We had a bit of a prediction as to who you think would be in, and
we did
in those groups. Now, we'll quickly just touch on the medals themselves. The Woolacott medalist Nelson Kirksey from the Woodville Warriors, very worthy winner, I would have thought.
Very worthy winner, and definitely, it was always going to come down to him and Mitch Creek, and a couple of extra games, and for Nelson, just got him over the line, and the fact that he didn't have to play with the man sitting next to me probably helped him as well. So, very worthy winner, and he's had a great year, and I think he polled 50 votes, which is a lot of votes, Sam. So, well done, Nelson.
And Alex, you obviously won the Woolacott 2 years ago, I think 2014. Yes. So, for the Woodville Warriors, that's 2 in 3 years.
Yeah,
so they'll be very happy with that.
Yeah, fair effort.
You would have played alongside Nelson this year. What do you take from his game?
I really like his game. Very athletic, crafty with the basketball. He can score at will. He's an excellent rebounder, creates for his teammates. I love his game overall, all around. Yeah. Nice player, yeah.
Yeah, and very deserving this year. Just stacked up some serious numbers, and I think as Joey Wright got him over here, he's been close with him throughout his career. Looking at 36s in the next couple of years is not something that you can toss out the window just yet. He's definitely on track.
Yeah, look, you'd have to be pretty close to NBL standard for sure, Sam. So we'll keep an eye on him there. But great year, great pick up for Woodville. Don't think we really had Woodville in the final five at the start of the year, and because we weren't quite sure how good Nelson was, but he's really boosted that lineup and got him into the finals, and really wasn't that far away from the grand final teams, really. So but it fell a little bit short.
And for a team, as you speak of falling short, the Forestville Eagles fell out of the finals a couple of weeks ago, but one woman in that team that was just phenomenal all year long, Doug, and you kept a really close eye on her from start to finish because we just knew she'd bring that X factor that the team needed to get them, I guess, into the final series to start with and then continue to work their way through and toward the back end of it. Was Olivia Thompson. She won the Halls medal this year and she was just brilliant across the court, I think. But I think she polled MVP as well from across the playing group. Yep. Really deserving of the award because she just had one of the most standout years you could ever see.
Yeah, I think Olivia also had 50 votes, Sam. So I think she polled in every single game that she played in. Fantastic effort. Once again, without her, I mean, we probably wouldn't have picked Forestville to make the finals. But she's really led that young group and they were a bit unlucky to finish fifth. They could have finished a little bit higher, but they won a final. They knocked out North, who I think have played in the last 4 grand finals, Sam. So they ended their run, but Southern got them in the end. But Olivia Thompson's, she's a star, and we're very lucky, Forestville and the league, to have her come back and play because she's off with Berlin, I believe, for the WNBL. So we're lucky she came back in her off-season to play in our league.
Jess, you've played a bit against her, I guess, in the past, and also just this season. How important do you think she was for the Forestville Eagles?
Oh, she's just an X factor for that team. She's so athletic. Like she'll get rebounds, she can hit that tough jump shot that you think you've covered. But she's just great for the league to have as well as Forestville. Yeah, they've done really well with her.
Absolutely. And she's someone really difficult to match up on as well because she's got that, I guess, like you said, athletic ability, but she's tall and there's not a lot of players her height. Yeah,
definitely. Like she's got that height and that athleticism, so you don't know whether she's a guard or the foreman. So it's pretty hard to match up on, but yeah, she's just she's had a great season. So
absolutely. Yeah. Well, congratulations to both Olivia and Nelson. Fantastic seasons. But the 2 people on the desk also won some awards on the weekend, both starring in the men's and women's teams of the year. Very nice award to have by your names, I guess. Start with you, Jess. Did you see yourself in that top 5 of players this year?
Not really. No? I don't know. I just think it's all about the team, so I really want to get Norwood over the line this weekend. It's good, obviously, to have that under my name, but yeah, I really want the championship more.
Who doesn't though? Alex as well, like you've first year into the Southern Tigers, I'm sure it's been an experience just to play along a brand new group of guys and be this successful so far. Did you see yourself in this list either going into the day?
To be honest, didn't really look too much into it, similar to Jess. First day I met up with the boys and obviously met up with Dino, like my only words were, let's win a championship. And that's really, has only been my only focus for the season. But, I mean, it's really nice to be recognized amongst my peers and everything else. But it's all about Saturday night.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Doug, how good are these people been, though? These 2, I mean, they're allowed to be modest because they have to be, and they've got a big game coming up on the weekend, but they've been outstanding.
Outstanding years, and they've been quite modest at the moment, but they were absolute locks for the All-Star 5s. They were both going to make it. So great years all the way through. They've led their teams well deep into the finals, obviously, and they've both been here before. So Alex, you won in 2014, and Jess, you've been 3 in the last 4 years.
Yep, my 4 seasons of Premier League.
4 seasons. So
not too badly at all.
Yeah, and both finals, grand final MVPs as well. Jess getting it last year, and Alex getting it in 2014 with Woodville. So big game performers. Both had fantastic seasons, and I'm sure can't wait to get out.
Well, we speak of the big games. Might as well take a look at them. The first one off the rank is the women's grand final. We've been building up to it all year, Doug. Norwood and West Adelaide are the 2 final teams in the race for the championship in the women's comp. Top versus 3rd position. And the last time these met, and Jess can tell us a little bit more about this, it was a very low-scoring game. And I guess we spoke about it. Both of us weren't there. We didn't get to see it. But offensively, you would think both teams just had a bit of a hard time because the defensive pressure would have been another level that night. And I guess West definitely struggled. They scored 43, I think, for the night, and they're a very good offensive team, scoring around 70-odd points a game usually for the season. But Norwood have lost just 3 games for the season, but how's this for a stat? West have won 13-2 since round 9. Now that is some serious form that they're bringing in. I think it's better than Norwood's form in the back half of the season as well, since they lost 3 in the back half. So West definitely the form side. Jess, you're looking for your 4th championship in 5 years, I think it is. This is quite a remarkable era you're playing in amongst. How proud are you to be there, and how excited are you?
Oh, well, grand finals don't come around very often. For me, luckily, they've come around quite often. But it's extremely lucky to be in this position. I've played with some great people to get into finals and that, so we're just excited to get amongst it.
Are you confident that you can take down this West team, because they have beaten you earlier this year?
Yeah, so last time we played them, they didn't have Fejo, yeah. So she's a massive offensive and defensive threat for them. So it'll be interesting how we go. We just need to look after the ball, really. We had way too many turnovers when we lost to them previously. So hopefully, yeah, we can look after the ball and we'll see what happens.
Doug, this is a really big game. A preview for this, matchups galore.
Great matchups, and I think this is going to be a very close game. You've won 3 of the last 4. All against North, actually.
Yeah.
But I don't think North really tested you in any of them. I think they were reasonably comfortable for a grand finals. I think you went away with all 3 of them. I think this is going to be totally different. This is going to be a really tightly contested game, and the semi-final a couple of weeks ago showed us that. I don't think it'll be quite that low scoring, but the matchups, I mean, Talia Fijo obviously coming back in. She's going to be up against Jess Marnie. I mean, that is worth coming along just to watch those 2 go. Jess has won 4 championships across 3 clubs. She's arguably the best point guard this league's ever seen, and she's won at least 3 defensive players of the year. So this is absolutely Talia Fijo's biggest test of her career to date, and that matchup's going to go a long way to see who's going to win this. Fijo's in great form, come into it, All-Star 5 on the weekend as well. But Jess Marnie, she's been here and done that. She's taken down some of the game's best point guards in grand finals. So can't wait to see those 2 battle it out. Jess, who did you match up with a couple of weeks ago?
I think I was on Campbell.
Yeah, okay.
Tiana, yeah.
Well, it's a fair chance that will happen again. And I don't know. It's just the matchups are great. I don't know who's going to go on Jess Foley. Chelsea Brook and Stan Stasiewicz will go out on the boards. But you've got front court with Marissa Stabile and Cara Annetz. We're up against Trudy Holland and Ashley Vornemeyer, who Defensive Player of the Year. So congratulations, Ashley. So great front court battle. 10-point game only a couple of weeks ago. You bring in Fijo. It's just going to be a really tightly contested game, Sammy.
It certainly is. I need to ask you just quickly, Jess, though, on Jess Foley as well. Fresh into the side as of, I think it was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And no one really saw that coming. How big is she as an induction to that team?
Oh, well, she's just brought that experience that we really had Marnie as our oldest player, and the next one's Cara at 24, I think. So there's a massive gap, and we're quite a young side, so to have Foley and her experience just to settle us on court as well is just great.
Because she's clearly coaching you during those times she was out of the game as well.
Yeah, so on court she just sees it differently to how a coach sees it in a way. So then in the timeouts it's more player orientated, which brings a nice vibe to it. And with Volky as well, they make a great duo for that. So yeah, it's good.
With Jess Foley, did she always have finals in her sights? Did you always believe that she was going to be back for finals, or was it
initially she didn't know what was happening because it was such a odd injury to occur in a way, but I think halfway through it she was like, nah, I want to get back. So she's done all the rehab and everything to get back into it, which is great.
I did speak to her at the Halls Woolacott medal lunch, and she's fighting fit. She's raring to go. So it's obviously not a great sign for Westies, but I think they'll be probably a little bit better prepared. I mean, they kind of thought she was going to play in that first semi, but they'll definitely know she's going to be suiting up this week. So they should be a little bit more prepared for her.
It's going to be a huge game, of course. They've only lost one game in recent times, two in the last, about 15 games there. So they are in some flying form, and they are going to be red hot come Saturday night. So Norwood and West Adelaide, that is the women's grand final. Make sure you come down to Titanium Security Arena, 6:15 p.m. tip-off. It's going to be a cracker. All right, here's the other game, the men's grand final. Alex Starling is starring in it, and it's the Southern Tigers and the Sturt Sabres. Again, first v third. Southern, I guess, out-and-out favourites from the get-go this season. They've only lost one game. Now it's to the Norwood Flames, and they ain't playing. So the Sturt Sabres are going to need to pull out something big in order to take down the Tigers. And look, they beat Sturt. The Tigers have beaten Sturt by 22 and 12 points in the two occasions they met this year, Doug. Already you can sort of see that as good quality margins, and ones that I guess Sturt in the second game with the 12-point margin pushed them a little further than before, but still wasn't enough to get that close that they can challenge for the win. Now, you wonder with the weeks off that the Tigers have had, if that's going to make any difference at all. You might think not, but the Sabres have been in some top-flying form the last few weeks. They've taken down some big scalps, Woodville being one, Norwood last week. Now they've got the Tigers in their sights with the championship on the other side. 4 quarters of basketball to go. Dougie, this is one game you don't want to miss.
This is going to be a cracker, just like the women's game, Sammy. First of all, I want to go to Alex and ask, one, how do you deal with the week off, then the game, and then the second week off? Because really, come tip-off time, grand final, you really only play one game in almost 4 weeks. So how has the team been dealing that with the last few weeks?
We've really been hitting the practice courts hard at training, getting right into it, about an hour and a half, just under 2 hours, like just getting after it. And that's really been able to help. Obviously, not being able to play for 2 out of the last 3 Saturdays, so that's definitely been helpful for us.
Yep. So just hitting the training track hard.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
Because I've been in grand finals before, Sam, and the grand finals are where that I've been involved where we've gone straight in and had the break. We've started slowly, and it's cost us. So be interesting to see how Southern deal with it. And also the other thing, the result with Sturt versus Norwood, was that something you expected?
It was a toss-up, to be honest.
Yeah.
Could have went either way. Obviously, Sturt was able to get over the line, and it's fine with me.
Yeah. Both good teams.
Yeah.
Matchups, this is going to be interesting, Sammy. First of all, we'll talk about the point guards. Sam Johns up against Isaac White. You'd think they would match up against each other. But what I like, and you may be able to chime in here, I don't know if you want to give away too much, they've got Mitch Creek, the Defensive Player of the Year, which I'll go to you in a second to see if you think that was correct. They have him up his sleeve. He can guard just about anyone on this Sturt lineup. I wouldn't be surprised with Isaac White in such good form.
You switch.
You'd almost think about putting your best small defender on him. So they might do that, but look, I think Johns will probably start there. But obviously, if Isaac gets going, you have Mitch to put on if you need. Do you think you will end up on Johnson?
I would love to.
Yep.
I'm not sure. Last time we played him, I think Dotman was out. So obviously I matched up on him, but I'm not sure what Dino has up his sleeve just yet. But we'll find out on Thursday.
Yep. Hey. Team meeting Thursday. Okay. I think Dodman will probably line up against Yoni Warbout. I think they'll match up against each other. And I think Todd Davies, maybe Josiah Lee might get the job on him. But Josiah might also get the job on Mitch as well. He's pretty good. He's a good athlete. He's a good defender. So, because out of this Sturt lineup, you've got to think who's going to go. TK, the captain, he'll probably have a crack at him. But they have Josiah Lee up their sleeve as well. So some great matchups. I think Southern, their starting 5 is unbelievable. Sturt have a little bit more depth, and we've talked about it all year. I mean, you look at Sturt's bench, Jacob Rigoni, Jack Turnbull, I believe, is going to be back this week. Mark Bauer, the veteran, can come in and play a role. Josh Owen Thomas has been giving them a little bit, and you've got Hamish Burns, who was a starter for the first half of the year. So he can come in and give them something off the bench as well. But Southern have a few guys coming in as well. Cody Ellison will definitely have a role to play. Andrew Barton and Hamish Stord. I think Sturt have the edge there. They have a little bit more depth. But will that be enough to combat the big guns from Southern? You have to question that, but they'll definitely give it a crack, and they have belief, so it's going to be a good one, Sammy.
Exactly. Well, like you said, it's going to be tough to take them down because offensively the Tigers have been superior. 96 points per game is the average, and now no team gets anywhere near that. That's been quite a clear season high. Alex, I'll ask you now because you wonder whether or not with those weeks off, and I'm sure, for you guys it probably doesn't make that much of a difference, but like Doug said, maybe if you do start slow, that sort of average of points 96 a game might not come out of you on Saturday night. But if it does, how do you guys consistently perform at such a high level in order to put those sorts of points on the board?
Obviously, great ball movement, trusting each other. If I'm not mistaken, against Norwood a couple of weeks ago, we started off pretty slow and we were stagnant. I think we had about maybe just under 40 points at halftime, and then we were able to put it on in the second half. And that's usually how it goes with us. We get scores from myself, Creek, Sam, Dotman. Doesn't really matter. Bench comes in. Todd Davis knocks down the 3-ball. We have a plethora of ways to score the basketball. It's about obviously getting stops and just building the offense from there.
Well, you guys are on fire, and you are on fire as well, mate. Now, like we were saying before, you were very modest about saying you would have been in the top 5 players of the league in the men's comp. But, Doug, let me just run you through these numbers. He's averaged 21 points a game and just under 15 rebounds a game as well. I think it's 14.6 or something like that. The freedom you must be allowed to have on the court. Now, I don't know what Dino's got there set up for you guys, but it feels like when we go to watch at the games, you have a lot of freedom on the court and you're able to do what you need to do in order to make the team get up.
It definitely helps. Obviously, Dino would have saw a bit of, my game style when I was at Woodville. And then obviously coming in and training and everything, it wouldn't take long for him to see, what I'm capable of doing on the court. And then the fact that I have a very high work ethic and a very high work rate on the court. It's not, Alex, I don't need you doing this. If I could do it and I can make that play and obviously it can help the team win, Dino's all for it. And to me, to know that my coach, has that amount of trust in me, that goes a long way, for me being able to, just be relentless about, what I do on the court.
Well, Doug, he's been incredibly exciting to watch this year, Alex, and just doing all the things that Southern really needed, I guess, because it's like if you take him out of the lineup, it's not like there's a hole, but he just fills a gap in that puzzle, which you just sort of think, wow, that's exactly what that team needs.
Oh, definitely. You can throw out Starling in just about any team and they're going to be a challenger, I would have thought. But and he's going to be a huge handful for Sturt. I actually think Sturt have a couple of reasonable matchups in Mitch Creek, but I don't know if they have really anyone to go with Alex. Daniel Johnson might get the gig on him, but they really need to get him off the boards. They need to get him off the O boards big time if they're a chance. Because he just gives the team so many second opportunities, and that can be really sapping for the defence to have a good defensive effort, but then to give up an O board, it can really be sapping. So Sturt need to tidy that up, and I'm sure you're just going to be going hard at the boards all game long.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it's going to be good to watch, Sam.
All right, Doug, it's come down to this. You've got 2 picks left this season on the show, and they're 2 grand finalists. You've spoken to all the guests now. You've got an opportunity, a broad perspective on who to pick. You've got a women's game and you've got a men's game. You've got to pick 2 winners.
Okay, women's game. Look, it's funny because both the grand finals, both the seasons they've kind of mirrored each other. Like both the men's and the women's comp have had a standout team all year that everyone's been chasing. But then there's also been a team on both the men's and women's, as in Western Sturt, respectively, they were both outside the 5 halfway through the year. They've come home strong. They obviously took a while to get their gelling going. A little bit of personnel coming in obviously has helped that. And they're both teams in fantastic form at the right time of the year. So you have, you got the favourites who's been sitting there waiting for a challenger, and then these 2 teams, Sturt and West, have said, well, we'll challenge us. So it's going to be great. I'm a little bit worried about the weeks off for the 2 teams and players sitting next to us, but I think their coaches will be good enough to give them the runs that they need and to get them prepared. So I I'm going to go the favourites. I'm going to go Norwood in the women. I just look as good as Westies are, and they go deep. They probably have a better bench than Norwood, and they'll use that bench really well. You know, Michaela Lapham will come in, Emma Wiedemann will play a role. But I just look at the front six for Norwood: Marnie Good, Foley, Annette, Stabile, and Brooke. I just can't go past them. You know, I said earlier that the winner of the 2 versus 3 final was going to get it done, but I didn't know Jess Foley was going to be playing. She changes everything. She just tips it over into their favour, and they have Jess May to go on Talia Fijo. So I'm going to go with Norwood there, but it's going to be close. And I'm going to go Southern as well. Similar reason. I love what they've put together, what they've done. Great depth, really, but and a great team, and they've come from deep outside the 5 to get there. But I can't go past Southern's top 5, and they've got some good role players as well coming in off the bench. They've been the best team all year. Sturt haven't got within 10 points all year, so you have to go with Southern, Sam. But I think Sturt will push them for sure.
It's going to be 2 cracking games. Like you said, you can't take anyone away from that. And the 2 tips are more than likely to be wrong as well of yours, because they're that too good of games that it's so hard to pick. So really, the only way to find out is to head to the Grand Finals on Saturday night and to check it out. It's a Titanium Security Arena one last time. Of course, it kicks off at 6:15 with the women's, 8:15 for the men's. There's no place in Adelaide you would rather be on that Saturday night. So as we, I guess, wrap up one of our last shows of the year, I'm not sure if we're coming back for a review week next week or not. We'll work that out during the week, but
sure.
We'll get to that. But if it is our last, it's been great to have you, of course, tuning in throughout the year. Jess, thank you so much for coming on the show, and good luck on Saturday.
Thanks for having me.
It's going to be really exciting, that women's game for sure. And Alex, great to have you here, buddy.
Thank you, boys. Thank you very much.
Best of luck, and
we'll
see you all out there on Saturday night. What a cracker week it's going to be. Dougie, you going to be there or not?
I'll be there. Of course I'm there. Of course I'll be there.
Absolutely. Well, say hi to us when we're there. Root on your teams as best as possible. Western, Sturt as well. So make sure you're checking those teams out and support the league, support the teams. It's going to be one incredible night of basketball that you will never, ever forget. So make sure you get on down Saturday night. Thank you for your company here on Overtime, and we'll catch you very soon.